Welcome to the Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. All past broadcasts are podcasts. Find them at ArtistFirst.com. Please send your questions and comments to dj@ArtistFirst.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here they are, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
And thank you very much, Z-Man, and I am Michael Lyons.
And I'm Margaret.
And we are back.
Mm-hmm.
It's been extremely rainy here today.
True.
We had a couple of gully washers, as they used to say.
Well, we were in watching that part of the state was in tornado warning.
Yeah, tornado warnings. And that's unusual for this little part of New Jersey because, we're not on the Great Plains. This is not Kansas anymore, nor has it ever been Kansas. But, I guess the tornadoes can strike wherever, just as our philosophical insights can strike wherever, like a tornado of knowledge.
Okay.
I think that could be the blood sugar talking. Tonight is we have an interesting topic, I think, but then again, I always think it's an interesting topic in any case. But you found this, I guess, excerpt from one of our favorite, of course, Eckhart Tolle's writings or speakings, I should say, and it's. Tolle, of course, is very broad-ranging, and this topic, while we probably covered it, from one aspect or another, has a lot of meat in it. So basically, his the thrust of his talk was that, why are we here in essence? What's our purpose here in being incarnate within the universe, and his, rather than let us dangle there and contemplate it ourselves, he basically says, he gives us the answer. We're here to participate fully in creation. We're here to both experience creation and to become creators or architects, if you will, of our own little piece of it, our individual universe that we all carry around within us. And I love this sentiment, and I think I put it up on the website as well, that, our purpose in the universe is to play. And you can see that, the truth of that, in literally every infant, every child that you've ever seen, and the children that you were once. You instinctually play with your environment. You instinctually interact with your environment and turn it into, in essence, a game. Your very first experience with an infant is oftentimes a little kind of pantomime game. You may roll your eyes or open your mouth really wide or move your hands back and forth, and they will repeat that action, or they will be fascinated by that action, and perhaps they'll try, if you make a sound, perhaps you make a soft sound, they'll try to open their mouth and move their tongue around a little bit and try to copy you. And the delight that they experience in in manipulating and in interacting with their environment, with their, in essence, their universe, and a large part of that universe, if you happen to be the adult or the parent, is you. So your our existence here is not merely as NPCs in some sort of giant game where we're just sitting there, minding the shop and handing out used swords. We're here to interact, and that interaction, the basic level of interaction, is playing. And I think it goes off the rails, and totally starts to talk about where it goes off the rails when we start to introduce the ego on top of that. When we start to say, I want this, or this thing that I do, I start to think that this is me. I am the thing that I do. I am the things that I want. I am the results of my actions. Start to cloud the joy of just playing with, and the creative interactive, creative process of manipulating the universe. Again, go back to the infant, Margaret. The very first thing that they are fascinated with oftentimes is they put their fingers in front of their eyes and they just look and they go, I'm doing that. Or they start to realize that they're doing that, or they make
they're influencing something in front of them.
Right.
I always found it fascinating when they wind up like trying to bring their hand to their face and they wind up smacking themselves. And then they look around going, who did that?
Right. Or they sneeze or make some sort of noise and startle themselves. And then they go, wait a minute, I think that was me. And then then you see the wheels turn for a few seconds and then they'll try to do it again. And then they say, I'm sure it's me. And then someone else, if you want to delight a child, an infant especially, acknowledging that they're doing that by either just saying, oh, or copying it back to them. They wiggle their fingers and you just wiggle your fingers in the exact same way or close enough. Or they make a sound and you mimic and return that sound, call and response. And that's a very simple but a very delightful and important game. They've realized that they're in the universe, that they are ensouled, that they are embodied, and that they get to interact. And there's a tremendous fulfillment and joy in that, which you can see literally wriggling in every muscle and every part of their body is just convulsed, if you will, with joy at this reward of the universe accepting them and acknowledging their presence.
Right. The interaction, the task, if you would, or the moment where they're actually engaged in the world around them. And they find that they actually can do things on their own volition. They may not be able to do it well, but they're participating. They actually begin to hear, wait, who made that sound? Or taste, or the sensation of being in the body itself. I always found that fascinating. They're like in the body and they're exploring what this feels like. And inevitably what you have is this little one stretching its spine out.
Yes.
And they make that little peanut shape.
Yeah.
And cute as anything, but they're just, once they're done stretching the entire spine out from the top of their head down to their tailbone, then they release that tension. And they look around like, oh, that felt good.
Yeah.
And so, you're like, oh, yes. It's been a long while since I've been able to do that.
Well, and when you see that, you feel it within yourself. You say, you can feel how good it felt in essence. That, and that's the sympathetic nervous system. That's truly the definition of physical empathy. You see another, and you see their action, and you can imagine it as being your own.
Right.
And that level of communication, which is physical, of course, but it's also energetic. It's wordless, of course, and it doesn't need words. In fact, words get in the way. I'm always reminded when people talk at children that that's not the primary mode of communication for human beings and for children especially. You want your energy, your presence to do the quote unquote talking, and you'll get the response. You'll in saying almost nothing. Or merely a glance or an acknowledgement, or maybe perhaps a sound, which is a wordless sound, a tone, which you can modulate. If you go up and down, you'll capture the most intense attention of the infant, because they can feel the energy. Their senses are engaged. And so their spirit and soul is engaged at the energetic level. Their senses are engaged at the touch, at the hearing and the sight level. And you are in that moment having perhaps a more in-depth conversation than you've had perhaps for that rest of that whole day. That conversation with no words expresses your presence. It accepts their presence.
That conversation without words is actually an opening for your soul and the child's soul. It's a moment of intimacy that is experienced without words. What I'd like to bring up is something Tolle had said about play. Let me read this part. Become a participant in the play of form by creating without self-seeking. When you create without self-seeking, you'll create beautifully. However, when you create and there's self-seeking in it, when you tell yourself, I need, or I want, or I must have, then you infuse the creative energy that is flowing through you with negativity. Because your concern is not the creation. It centers back on what you want. It's understanding that shift from creation, which is almost boundless. It's the concern is only the form and how this can be interacted with, engaged with. Your concern is engaging in the form in the way that it communicates a certain way. It's not, I want. It's flowing with it and feeling how that moment is unfolding. It's not, I need to do this right because then I'll feel better about myself, or I must have it this certain way. It's got to have this, like a table setting. I've got to have this table setting with this huge flower arrangement in these colors of mauve because that's what my bridesmaids' dresses are in. It's creation for the joy of creation. And what does that mean? That means that when you're in that moment, expressing this form in a joyful interaction, it permeates out continually. It doesn't stop. And it has nothing to do with, oh, well, I needed it to be just perfect, and I wanted this many blooms, and I needed this kind of holder, and you lose that joy immediately when you're focusing in on details that, frankly, when you put it in, have you stopped and looked at it and see, how does this feel to me? Is there joy coming from this? Am I enjoying this moment? Which is basically what play is.
Exactly.
Play means that you enjoy the moment, which, again, it's not you just experiencing the joy. You are infusing that creation with your hand and your heart, which speaks of joy.
I want to go back because what you said, when you talk about the negativity, what Tolle said about the negativity and the I need and the I want. So the negativity is right there. When you need or you want, there's a lack. And the negativity is the void, the lack that you're expressing. You're saying, I don't have, not I have, not I am, but I am not. I am not happy. I am not fulfilled.
Right. And that always comes up when you begin to compare what you have with somebody else.
Right.
That's nothing but negativity. I don't think that registers clearly. But when you begin to compare what you have to someone else, there's no joy in that whatsoever.
No, it's all lack. And when you make that expression, the other doesn't even have to exist. You compare yourself, your being, you abstract it into something that you imagine you need or you want or you've been told that you need or you want. You then therefore live in lack, and this Tolle mentions earlier in that same thing. Maybe we'll read it, but he mentions also that this is a fear, that you live in fear and lack, because you are expressing the fear of not attaining or not getting.
Mm-hmm.
The lack, you say I don't have, not I have or I create, and the true, and you mentioned it, the joy. So first of all, the joy of creation, the I-less, the no little I joy of creating, it has no, there's no lack in it, because it has no goal other than to create, to express. And you made the subtle point, and I just want to reemphasize it. The subtle point is that to exist within the universe, you must engage with forms, but you become, through this engagement, aware that you are not the forms, that you are engaging with, you are playing with. So the you in that expression is not the little I. It's not the I want or I need. It's the greater I of presence, acknowledging that we are within the universe. Now we can see ourselves. We can see that we manipulate the universe, our form, our hands, that we can make a sound, that we can hear a sound, that we can touch things, that we can see things. But all those things are, in essence, just playthings. They're just, in essence, toys. Mm-hmm. Our bodies are toys in the sense that they become our interface to the world of form. We are ensouled within a form. But as soon as you do that, the second thing, you say, I need. Now you've crunched yourself down into a form thing, a lack thing, an empty thing. And then you've identified and said, I am lacking. I am needy. Mm-hmm. I am not happy. I am not fulfilled. You're not creating anymore. You're not playing anymore. You've stuffed yourself into a cage or into a box.
Right.
And the box is empty.
Right.
You've literally identified, this is going to sound terrible, but you've literally identified yourself as an empty box.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm an empty box.
And you've mistaken who you are with what you're perceiving.
Yeah.
Your experience is just that. It's an experience. Just as when you play like a board game and you choose your little counter. This is who represents me. It's like your avatar when you're playing on video
I want
games.
the race car.
And at that point, you get involved in the game. You're confusing yourself with the counter, with the race car.
Mm-hmm.
But when the game's over, who are you really?
Right.
And what were you playing for?
Right. Monopoly money.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, okay, here you go. Money doesn't have value unless humans give it value.
But I want to stop you. As if you confuse yourself with the race car, when the game's over, you get to put in a box. if you instead enjoy the game and realize it's a game and realize that you are not the race car, but boy, are you having fun moving it around the board, then you realize that your presence animates the race car. Your presence enjoys the game. And it's a completely different experience. At the end, it's just Monopoly money, and it always was and always will be. And you're not the race car, and you never were, and you just enjoyed kind of pushing it around for a while. Mm-hmm.
You played with it for that period of time.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed the experience of play. And that is the most valuable thing, because that is the memory that you take back with you.
Yeah.
That's the value. And who you played with, I mean, yeah, there are solitary games, but most of us enjoy being able to engage with another person in playing a game.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's more than a little interesting when you see how that actually affects you. It's the experience that really affects you, as opposed to a list of things that you have to do. When you're experiencing that moment of play, you're in play, and then it gets exciting. Because then you're like, well, maybe if I do this, I can figure out how to get over here, and that's the most points. Or all I need is a 3, and I'm going to land on the ladder, and I'll jump ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
You can see that beginning when you play with the kids. It's like, well, maybe. And it's just a back and forth. And then, how disappointed little ones get when they're like, oh, no, I landed on the chute. I'm back to position 3, all the way down the board.
Yeah.
It's like it's the introduction to the fact that, yeah, you're going to have ups and downs. This is what this is, but that's not the end of the game.
Right.
The game's not done yet, but you're having fun on trying to, okay, let me see if I can get up there. Let me try really, really hard.
So if again, let me stop you for a second. So it's literally not whether you're winning or losing, but who you're playing with the game with, or how you're playing the game. And this is, and that's why games are beautiful, because games are an analog or an analogy of our existence here. We come into the world to play this game, very complicated, very interesting game. If you get lost and become the race car or the top hat or whatever it may be, you've kind of lost sight of the game. Now you want to win. Now you are trying very desperately to make sure you're the shiniest and fastest race car, or that you're going to make sure that everyone else on that board knows you're the best, or that identifies you as the most powerful.
Well, it's like watching what happened with the soccer teams or the football.
Oh, FIFA, yeah. FIFA?
FIFA.
Yeah, I always get that wrong.
And those players, they're the best in the world. And many times they're looked on almost like, you're superhuman because you're a really, really good player.
Yeah.
I always wonder about, when they get home, is that all you are, is the soccer player? Because they, I think the last game that they had, there was the other team that lost. There were a couple of people got very, very upset and wound up attacking the other team. And that's like, no. Unsportsmanlike, but unacceptable.
Right.
In this society. So you're like sitting there wondering, well, how far has he lost himself as in this identity of I have to be a winning,
Right.
winning
Soccer player.
team player or whatever. I'm the star. I'm the
Right. Right. I'm the star.
and this is not right. You shouldn't be winning. I should be winning.
Right.
And I'm mad, so I'm going to start beating on you. It's just like, what are you, 5? No. Control yourself. You're supposed to be able to control yourself.
Right. And, you said good sportsmanship, and that's true. But if you take the analogy to life, that's the truth of life. When you're winning at it, and I mean that in the purest sense, when you're doing your existence in the self-awareness mode, in the being state, and we've been there. From the point of view of the game, you're losing. Your race car has a flat tire. It's out of gas. It's not going to finish. Everyone else is speeding by you. And from the point of view of the world, you're a loser.
Right.
But in presence and in awareness, you're in the moment of now, you're playing the game. And the game doesn't guarantee you that you're going to win. No game does. You play a game because you don't know who's going to win or who's going to lose.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen. In fact, one of the things that makes you just mentioned it earlier about the chutes and ladders. One of the things that makes the game exciting is that there's an element of what's going to happen next. Well, so let's look at it from the point of view of the world. We are incarnate, spirit ensouled within flesh. We don't know what's going to happen anymore. We've, the kids with the avatars and all the various, internet games and so on. You come into the world, suddenly you appear ensouled within the flesh. You may, in some games, you appear with nothing, very, very similar to the way you appear here. You come into the world ensouled in flesh, and you have to learn everything. You don't know what's going to happen next. It makes the game exciting. The main point of the game is not that you win or that you lose. It's how you play, who you meet, the beings that are with you in this particular game, the relationships that you have.
This life is the ultimate
game.
Okay.
Yes.
And to transition past the point where you realize that there's more than this existence, this life. There's more to life than just birth and death.
Absolutely.
And when you are in this game, speaking from our viewpoint, we lost. We lost. It was a very important point, and we were not able to save our child.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at that and understanding that this world looks at you with pity. You lost your child. You couldn't save him. And they don't want to say, oh, you're a loser. But the pity speaks for itself. So adapting to this understanding, because there's a part of you that also understands you lost. And when it is your own child, that loss is just rips a hole in your heart that you would not have any other parent experience. Honestly, my own worst enemy, I would never put this on them.
No.
But that loss forces you into another perspective. And there's another writing that Tolle put, and I think it's very appropriate. All right. the fear of loss is when you identify with part of the content, with something in the external world. You're identifying with something in the external world, like being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And you think that if you lose it, you lose part of who you are. For example, when you tell yourself that without this or that, I'm no one.
Mm.
And that is what you do feel when you lost your child. You feel that you've become no one. I can't be a parent, or I am a failed parent.
Right. Terrible parent.
And you come to the understanding, especially when you have other children, that you must continue as a parent. And I know a lot of parents who had thrown that all aside. I'm a failed parent. What good am I? I can't help raise my other children. But the truth of the matter is, the love that motivated you to fight, to try to save your sick child, your dying child, is the same fight that you have for the children that are living.
Mm.
But you, honestly, you realize that we are all heading down that slope. We'll eventually hit the point where this body no longer exists. So, who are you? And what parameters, what have you decided that is a good parent and a bad parent? You're just a parent.
Mm. And even further, and especially for us, you break it breaks all that illusion. You know, all the I wants and I needs. I need to do this for my children. I want this for myself. I want this for my children.
I want this for my family.
If I do this, I'm good. If I don't do this, I'm bad.
Right.
Why me's the why did my child get sick? Why did this happen to us? Blah 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 blah, on and on. And then you go into that abyss. You realize that the I wants have basically become so great that they can never be filled. That those things that you identified with are in essence unattainable and never were you. You are forced through that. You're forced through the looking glass, and the very first thing that started to force, I'll speak for myself, started to force me through that looking glass was the way that Christopher already had gone through. That he had, because he was in essence a child, he hadn't yet fully transitioned into the I want, I need, I am. He's, of course, all of them started. You start young, you start getting these needs, these identifications, these wants. You start to identify with the game, become the race car. But he fell out of the race car. He went through that, and then you could see that shining I am there, the presence there, regardless. He no longer considered himself as a sick child. He was a child that had to go through a sickness. He didn't consider himself, that he needed to be somewhere else, or that he was going to be nothing. He was Christopher wherever he was. And everyone in the ward, everyone that came into contact with him, found the presence of Christopher. And it shone through so brightly with each new trial, in essence. It shone through brighter and brighter. Well, that light started to lead us past the I wants and the I needs. It was, none of this is easy. We wrote a whole book about it. And if you read the book and are in any way thinking that you understand from reading, know that the tiniest bit of the keyhole that you're peeping through, in which you think you see an image, is all that is, because no amount of words or collection of tree leaves can encapsulate the actual experience, and that's fine. No one's life can actually be bound that way. But once you start to break through, you're back in essence, even though it's the hardest thing you've ever done. And people say, how can you smile? How can you laugh? How can you enjoy yourself ever again? Because you can. Because you suddenly have broken through and you no longer see yourself as the game. You see the game, and you see that in this particular part of the game, it's hard. And you're losing.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter, because it's how you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you live your life. And when you see this child shining through at that level, and you realize that it doesn't matter if his life ends tomorrow, it's still his life. And it was perfect and complete. And his being is. It had nothing to do with the game or how long you play the game or how many things happened to you while you were in the game. It's just about you.
Oh, it's just about being the most complete form of Christopher that he could be.
Yeah.
The fullest form of Christopher that he could be. And that's all that's required. A lot of people it's like, what is that, the story in Job, where he had everything and he lost everything, all his children, all his wealth.
All his cattle, all his other things.
Yeah. And then his body.
Yeah, the sores and everything else.
And his friends who basically came, the ones that stayed by him, basically said, there must have been some evil in your life that you're being punished for.
Job, you were a bad boy.
And that's the interesting part. That's the human part that wants to justify that, well, this bad stuff's all happening to you because there must be a reason. It was like old karma or something.
Yeah.
Had to be something.
Something you did wrong.
Something in your family, something in your bloodline, something in your... And you're sitting there going, that's a partial truth. It's only a half-truth. That's not the whole truth. This world is not heaven.
No.
I have said this to people before, and they look at me like, what? It's like, didn't you notice that we're not living in heaven, and you're not going to get everything that you want all the time? What you think is good? And it's almost as if I've spoken blasphemy.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Well, you're supposed to work harder to get all... It's like, no.
No.
No, you're living in a world that has real evil in it. And you agreed to come down here, whether you believe it or not. So, giving permission to have this life, what are you going to do with it? Knowing that this is not heaven. What are you going to do? And most people are looking at you going, well, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be a good human being. I'm trying to, be good to people and raise my children or the ones that I love and da-da-da-da-da. And you're like, what does that entail? Being good. Do you even have an idea of what good is? Because it is the very, very beginning of understanding that aspect of your spirit and part of your soul is awakening and looking around and saying, there's more than just what my body is asking me for. Oh, we have to eat now. Or, I want this. Or I need this.
Well, I would go back and say that what you were doing when you said that to them, this world is not heaven, and in fact, when you, when they say to you, I'm trying to be good, and that this must have happened to you, like Job was being told, or the other story that it reminded me of the man who's born blind. Well, what sin did this man commit, or his parents committed for him to be?
What sin did his parents commit?
Right. So that whole precept of the, it must be somewhere in your genetics, or it must be something that you did, or it must be something that your parents did, or you must have been bad, is because the game, if you identify with it, you're supposed to say, well, if I do this, this, and this, I'm guaranteed I'm a good person, so therefore nothing bad can happen to me. And then if something bad does happen, it's the ego that rises up and says, well, those people must have deserved that. They must have done something wrong. They're bad. You're good. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. So all that comforting illusion, when you are identifying with the game, is because you think you can bargain with destiny, with reality. You can say, well, if I've done the X, Y, and Z, then I'm controlling reality, that I've already paid my dues to God or whomever, and that in this very simplistic and childlike, childish even, of identification with this game is that I've bought the insurance, I have the get-out-of-jail-free card, I have said the right things and know the right people and have the right amount of money, so nothing bad can happen to me.
I have the right doctor.
Right. I have, and I want the odds. I want the odds to be better than 95%, or even better.
Yes, you just have to demand it.
You have to demand those odds,
and then they'll give it to you. And
right.
You're like, yeah, you're.
So this is when you're in the game and you're of the game, and you know what Christ said is, we are in the world but not of the world. If you're not of the world, but you're in it, then your presence is what the world occurs within. You are outside of it. You are encompassing the world, but you don't control the world. What a burden that would be. You don't control the game. The game happens, and sometimes lightning strikes, and you had no idea, and it happens to you, and then people say, "Oh, you must deserve that," or "What something in your family, or something that from 100 years ago that you guys did wrong, and you have bad karma." Whatever it is, no. The fear that rises up is that they suddenly realize that the game is not controllable, that you can't determine outcomes. All you can determine is, regardless of what's given to you in the game, regardless of what comes, is how you play that game.
What you're doing in the game is
what you're
counts.
doing.
It's the experience that you're having right in the moment. And are you having an experience that brings the joy of play?
And to do that, you have to play the point that you're at. You have to be in the moment of now. Realize that, oh gosh, I rolled a 3. I hit the chute. I'm going all the way back to square 3. And you can rail and rant and ask for better odds, and I want to roll again, and I don't know, and stamp your feet, and I want to be the race car. Or you can just roll your piece back, smile at all the other players, and say, "Oh man, it happened to me. Could happen to you." And they're
try
like,
again.
Try again.
We'll try again.
And in accepting the moment of now, and just saying, "Okay, I fell all the way down here. I'm going to just try again." You've done something that's essential. You've told everyone around you and yourself that it's just a game. That the joy of your presence is unaffected, completely unaffected by what happens to your form, your race car in the game. The race car got all the way back. Well, gosh, that's tough for the race car. Let's just start her up, repair the flat tire, putt along to the next square. Now you're playing the game. Now your presence is not identified with the race car. The race car has a flat tire and it's going to run out of gas and it's going to rust. You're still playing the game. You're just still you. And you can never lose because you can never win.
Right.
Because you're just being there.
And that brings me to that other point that Tole was talking about. Let me read this. You'll live in a state of continuous joy, no matter what arises. When you realize that what arises isn't that important. What arises is just consciousness playing with form. You're playing a game.
You're playing a game.
You're manipulating things to see how the form shifts and changes. And when you have that perspective, there is so much space for your spirit and your soul to fill.
Yeah.
Because you have no limits then. None whatsoever.
Right.
All right, let's read the quote that's listed.
Right. Well, just before, so the form has limits, but once you realize you're not the form, you are limitless. You are vast. But yes, you have the quote in front of you there.
Yes, I do.
This was also a good quote by Tully. Tully's all over this thing.
Mm-hmm. The outer purpose of the universe is to create form and experience. The interaction of form. Think about that. Experience is the interaction of form. The play, the dream, the drama, or whatever you choose to call it, its inner purpose is to awaken to its formless essence. All of this is for you to find your formless essence, your spirit, that which you cannot define.
And the most wonderful thing and the most mysterious thing is you come into the world knowing that infant knows that it is a formless essence, and it immediately your own essence responds to the infant. When you look into their eyes, you feel their presence and they feel yours, and it's instantaneous. Instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
You know that we're both playing a game, and you instantly you just start playing a game. But you know that this essence that we are, the formless essence, the connection through spirit, the emanation of source that we all are, recognizes itself. And as Tolle says, the universe's inner purpose, its true purpose really, but its inner purpose is to become aware of its essence. Your inner purpose, your true purpose, is to become aware that you're playing a game and that the game is within you. And that by that I mean the whole universe is within you. You have your own. The person beside you has their own. And you look across from your universe to theirs, and you see deeply into their eyes, and you say, we're both essences. We're both emanations of source. And when you see the other person's playing a game, you smile. Because you say, there's another player. And they know that they're playing a game, and I know that they're playing a game, and we're going to play together. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a great time. Whatever is happening, doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter to who you are.
You are acknowledging that you are in this interaction of forms. This is what it means to have a relationship on this world.
Yeah.
It's an interaction of forms in so many different ways. So games are a good analogy because each form has its own set of rules on how it functions. And you, as a person who's going to play, you actually decide whether or not you're going to enter this game as that particular form.
Right.
And it's not heaven.
No, it's just a game.
It's a game. It's understanding that there are pitfalls to this, but you are more, so much more than the form. You are more than what you think you are. You are more than what you could possibly imagine yourself to be.
Right.
And the whole idea is that you're in this experience to begin to explore all that and walk. Just keep walking.
Yeah, the awareness of presence says that you know that the universe is within you, that you are not within the universe. You're not of the universe, as I said earlier. And the other thing about this is, and this is when you come upon someone else, Christopher or you or whoever's in your life, and you both realize that, sure, the form, your appearance, your hair, your skin, the color is turning gray. None of those forms matter. If you're within the form, but realizing that you are the presence within the form, you know it yourself. You say, well, I don't feel any different. Yeah, I've got an ache and I got a pain and I've lost this hair and I've gotten this weight and whatever the heck it is, nothing. But as you become more and more aware of your own essence, none of those things matter. You look across to the other and you see the same presence that you saw when you first encountered them within the game. Mm-hmm. When you look at your children, at whatever age they're at, you see them as you saw them with wordless presence when they first opened their eyes, where you could directly see each other. You can, of course, say that you had their presence when they're within the womb, but let's say they just come out, and the first time you look at them and you meet their eyes, even if they can't see and you can't see, or whatever the heck it is, doesn't really matter. The presence connection, the identification of who they are at the spirit level, the soul level, you recognize that presence for the rest of their lives, the rest of your life. When they're gone, it doesn't matter. The presence of that being encompasses that universe that they're within, and encompasses the universe that you're within, and you recognize it. Mm-hmm. So if they were form, you'd say, well, every year, who are these people? They're different again. Or every 10 seconds, gosh, you're different again. You got different clothes on, your hair fell out. Form would be unidentifiable. If you look at a tree that's an acorn and a tree that's fallen over dead, they're the same tree, you say. But you would say, if you're trying to identify by form, well, this thing doesn't look anything like this thing. How could they be the same? But they are the same. The presence of that person is the same, regardless of how they look, whether they have a limb lost or whether they have lost their ability to hear or see, or they've gotten fat or incredibly thin, or they've died. The presence is still the same. You don't need their physical form even to recognize their presence.
Right.
So that's how you know it's greater than the physical.
And that belief, where you are having a relationship with somebody you love who's no longer embodied. There's no body, but you are still having a love relationship with this person. Most people are looking at you like, what are you talking about? Because you lost the child and it's tragic, but they can only seem to relate through the body itself. And a mature relationship understands that it goes past all space and all time. There's a connection that cannot be destroyed. And we so blithely call it love. But the depth of love, once you experience or begin to explore its endless possibilities, it enters the realm where you don't have words. We use that word love so blithely, so negligibly.
Negligently? Something like that.
Negligible?
Something. We should wrap this up.
Okay.
That was inarticulate, but that's all we got right now.
All right. Well, we've reached the end of our hour.
Right, but go out there and create and become one with yourself, not with creation.
find yourself.
And so I'm Michael.
And I'm Margaret. And thank you for listening.